Welcome to the Sky Talk Doc podcast, where we navigate life, relationships, and everything in between with thought-provoking curiosity and a touch of grace. Buckle up, Buttercup. This is a flight you won't forget.
Good morning, Sara. Your website, oh my gosh, the prosperity people. I am so excited to have you on the Sky Talk Doc podcast. I know you are changing lives when it comes to blending kind of the negative self talk that comes up with us and wealth and prosperity. So I cannot wait to dive into this topic because I myself am queen of not earning my worth. So
Yeah,
I'm
I
really
think
excited.
most of us are.
Yeah, if you could share with the listeners a little bit about how you got started and what your business is doing.
Yeah, I really got started because I went through a really terrible time in my life. I feel like how a lot of people get started in things. And when I was going through the process of really healing myself and figuring out, like how to deal with this, it was like everything out there just didn't cut it for me. Like I just felt like we were missing something. So much of the feedback I got from people was like, "Oh well, you're just going to kind of have this hanging around for the rest of your life. Like it sucks, but it is what it is." And I was like, "No, like unacceptable. Like absolutely unacceptable." And so my background had already been in biomedical science and neurophysiology and like very the science aspect of our bodies. And then I really got into the energy stuff, like really understanding the energetic side of us and kind of more of like the Eastern aspect of emotions and all of that. And I coupled it with the science stuff and really created our own method on really working to change our emotional coding, is what I call it, to
Mm,
really change our reality. So it's kind of weird what I do because it's like we dabble, we're like, I teach people how to like manifest, but I teach science because manifesting is actually science. It's how our physiological molecules are working with the quantum physical molecules in the
right.
world, right?
Yeah.
And so and then really, we teach all different things. I mean, we teach stuff about every aspect of life. I really personally love focusing on money because I think money is such an important piece of our existence, and we do not focus on it because we've been taught not to focus on it. We've been taught it's not the thing. We shouldn't look at it. We shouldn't talk about it. We shouldn't focus on it. But at the end of the day, money is central to everything. People are like, "Oh, life is about connection and good health and being happy." Well, guess what? The way we set this world up, you're not going to have any of that if you don't have money.
If you don't have some wealth. Yeah.
Yes, if you have money.
We get told that it's like taboo that you're supposed to focus on, money isn't happiness, that love is happiness, that the material world gets left behind. And all of that I fundamentally agree with. But
Yeah.
if you want to have a good life while you're here and you want to be able to help other people, like for example, I have this bleeding heart for animals and I got invited to do a pilot rescue for a animal company, right? Like they needed this dog to be saved from euthanasia. And I'm like, sure, I'd love to do that. And they're like, okay, well, you have to cover the fuel and you have to, we pay you nothing. You have
Yeah.
to cover all the expense, right? So it's like,
Yes.
well, okay, I thought maybe there was a little bit of a budget for that somewhere since I'm donating the plane and my time, but it wasn't. And so that's a perfect example of how if you want to be the kind of person that can show up and rescue a dog from euthanasia, you have to have a little bit of money in the bank
You
to pay.
have to have money. And really, and we've worked with hundreds of thousands of people at this point, like really helping them just get happy, like really just feel better about themselves. And at the end of the day, when I see the people who have money doing it, it's so much easier and faster. And then
Yeah.
when you people who don't have money doing it, it's really hard. And it's not to say that money buys happiness because you can have a really terrible, grouchy, unhappy person and you can give them all the money and they won't be happy, right? So it's not like the end all to be all, but it actually is pretty darn hard in our world right now to be fulfilled and happy and connected when you have no money.
No resource. Yeah.
sources, unless you're being taken care of in some other way. Like unless someone's providing all the food, shelter, and everything for you. But then it's like you actually do have money. Like you have access.
You've got the hierarchy of needs, Maslow's, right? Like
Yeah.
you've got your basic needs cared for so you can not have to stress about that and create. Really fascinating on this topic of it's not just about the wealth, it's about the way you approach the wealth and what you're doing
Yeah.
with it and how you're using it and how you're seeing it. And
Yeah.
I know for me, I'm in a position right now really having to elevate and make some really tough decisions. If I want to get to the next level, it's kind of that phrase of it takes money to make money kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm having to make very strategic decisions, very strategic, some of the hardest decisions I've ever made in my life, in fact. To keep battling for something that I used to be involved in or let it go completely and move forward and just kind of take the leap of faith and trust and just really strategic financial decisions. And one of the things I'm realizing as I'm interviewing people that I'm working with that are helping me step to the next level is they're very confident in their approach, their financial pitch, right?
Yeah.
They're like, this is what my service costs, and I have a 3-month commitment. And I'm like, oh, okay, hold on a minute. But I'm like, why am I not doing that for myself? I'm over here with, got all the letters, got all the things, and I'm over here still going, okay, well, would you mind if I charged, half of what anybody with half the experience that I have is
In
charging?
charge.
Do that for me? Like, I'm like, what the hell is wrong? It's time for me to step up and be like, hey, if you want my services, this is my cost. I have
Yeah.
a 3 commitment. And by the way, you meet me halfway because I'm not doing more work than you are in improving your life, right? Like, I don't have the chip. I don't have the chip. And maybe it's because, some people know my backstory, but I grew up in a 27-foot fifth wheel, no running water, no electricity. I grew
Yeah.
up piss poor broke, porta potty in the yard status. And I think some of that still kind of plays into the narrative because I was in my teen years at that time. So it was a really like formidable time in my life where I think some of that narrative stuck that
Oh, and this is
redneck, kind of a
it's like, yeah, like there's nothing like, why are we even trying? And this is the thing that we teach is that we work so much on our money mindset. And that's actually like 5% of your experience with money. What really it's about the emotional coding, the experiences and the emotions that you had growing up or were handed down to you from your ancestors are actually what creates your experience with money. So, like you said, you're sitting here being like, why am I doing this? Why can't I just like change this? But like, then you still don't. Like, you want to, you need to, but like the energy's not there. And it's like, this is where we have to look deeper. And it comes to the emotional aspect of our sense of self that we actually have to work through so that then we can actually show up differently and
well, so
feel differently about it.
is, we connected through Brand House, which has been just kind of an incredible journey altogether because Chaz and Abel are so positive. But I knew there was synergy with the primal wounds too, because what I
Yeah.
see with 7 primal wounds is like, for example, mine is insignificant, which is unchosen, don't matter, unseen, that kind of stuff. It's
Yeah.
that narrative of I don't matter enough
You don't
that
matter enough to get paid well.
right, exactly. And I see this a lot with the undeservers. They're
Yeah.
like the heart types that volunteer their time, yes people, endless yes people, without ever asking for a penny. And then they're resentful, exhausted, and burnt out. The flip
Yes.
side of that is my incapable wounders, which is unintelligent, not smart enough. They're actually like the kinds that go on to be CEOs and demand a ton of money, which is kind of interesting. So I'm seeing how the emotional coding, the epigenetics, the generational trauma is
Yes.
playing
It
out.
is. And it's, if you've ever read the book like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it's like we can see very clearly from research that people who grow up in wealth have long-term generational wealth, they stay wealthy.
Yep.
Who grow
Yep.
up poor tend to stay poor. Same difference. Like you see the same thing because it's a deeper thing than just our mindset and our focus. It's literally coded into our DNA, just like
You're just talking my vibes. I've
I mean,
spoken
it's
about DNA coding. It's all that is
yes, it's
exactly
all coded. I mean, how happy you get to be, how much money you feel comfortable with, how much love you feel comfortable with. I mean, it's all coded into our DNA, just like our eye color, what diseases we have the potential to have. And then, depending on the environment we put ourselves in, it gets activated, just like diseases do, right? And so it's coded in there. Good thing is like we now know we can change our DNA and we can change our epigenetics, but it takes a little bit more work than just changing your mindset and focusing on something different. And that's kind of the process we teach is like, how do I actually change this for myself? And we have a technique we teach that's like you can literally do it at your house, because that was the other thing that when I went through my journey that was annoying to me was like, I remember at one point being like, I am spending thousands and thousands of, I have to go to my acupuncturist every week. I have to go to my therapist. I have to take these 45 supplements. I have to meet with my naturopath. I was like, this is not sustainable,
No,
you
it's
know?
funny because and we're so synergistic here, but in primal wounds, 7 primal wounds, what I teach people is you have to rewire it because what you're really up against is your hand touched a hot stove. That memory was seared into your survival brain. It doesn't
Yeah,
mean you're never going to cook in the kitchen again, right? Like that's
yeah,
not realistic. You have to learn how to live within the fact that this could burn you and
yeah,
create the situation of safety with,
yes,
inherent risk, but also inherent safety built in to be able to still move forward and engage with this thing in your world. And so that is exactly what my primal wounds is all about. And what I teach people sounds like you've
yes.
got this really interesting financial take on it. I love it so much. I feel like there's a master class coming in the future here.
I know, how fun, because it is, and that's and really when I realized that, I was working more with people just on, like, healing their self-love and kind of the stuff you're talking about, like, being un and really that's where I started to see, like, gosh, this money thing is such not only is it a problem because so many of you need money again to survive, but money is such a reflector of our relationship with ourselves. And that's what I really started to see, which
Mhm.
was so fascinating that it was like, if we actually use money as the core of this, not only do we start to make more money faster, which just is nicer, right? But we also start to heal some of these primal wounds you're
Right.
talking about because money is like a big teacher for us. It's almost
Yeah.
like it's kind of almost like how we've decided to do like our life force energy. Once upon a time there wasn't money and we kind of just, prayed to the gods that it would rain and pulled the
Yeah.
energy from the earth and we could grow our food and all of that. But like now we kind of get our direct access to the universe almost through money. Like we need it to do all the things to be fully expressed. And so when we're having weird feelings and weird things happening with money, it's a very good reflection of where we're being weird with ourselves and weird with our connection to the divine source energy.
Well, and some sort of cyclical self-fulfilling prophecy too. I
Yeah,
feel like, whatever you're kind of telling yourself is, I mean, if we just look at how energy flows, right? We know there's an equal and opposite reaction for everything that we
right.
do. And even if you just flex your arm, right, the bicep tricep,
It does a
so
whole thing.
right?
Yes.
So if you push your bicep, what's happening to your tricep, right? So
Yeah,
and if you think about that, there's this balance that comes from being able to play with both positive and negative, because I think sometimes people get stuck too in having too much positivity, right? Like I've
right.
got all I need. I don't need to this is, I say, it's yellow cab in the Uber world, right?
Yeah.
All the yellow cabs in downtown Manhattan had it made. They
They
didn't
don't
they didn't try for anything different. They didn't think any differently because it worked. And then what happened? Uber came along. And now
Uber come along.
suddenly, yeah. So you have to also be flexing
Yeah.
the muscle both ways. You kind of have to be looking at it.
You do. It's a journey of self, like this whole game we're playing here on Earth is just constant evolution over a lifetime. I think so often we're always thinking we're trying to get to the top of the mountain and like put our flag in. And I'm like, guys, there's no top of the mountain. Like the minute you get to this summit, you're gonna be like, I wanna go there. Like, this is what we're doing. Life is expansive. Look at the tree doesn't stop growing. The flowers don't stop blooming. The clouds don't stop moving. It's like, this is life. We're all part of life, and life is movement. Life is growth. Life is evolution. And so
So
why are we
I
try
climbed the top of Mount Whitney, right, which is one of the 14ers in the world. I got to the top and went, well, I guess I'm going to have to become a pilot.
but see, exactly. Like, It's like we keep thinking if we do this thing, if I get here, like finally I'll arrive. I'll feel the feeling I've always looked for. And it's like, no, feel the feeling now. You've arrived. You're here. This is it. This is life.
I
Let's
tell
go.
my finish line is a circular racetrack. Like I'm just keep coming back to the finish line and then there's another journey and there's another finish line. And it just is kind
Yes.
of that's how it goes. So tell me about how your company works with people. Like I know you have a really cool freebie that's available for people to kind of find out where they're operating right now. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we have quite an expansive way we work with people. A lot of our emotional work that we teach and our technique that we teach, we work with corporations and schools. And so we have programs that we have for them. And then on the individual side, we have tons of different courses, a lot of them on money, a lot of them on manifesting, but also on like healing your family wounding, healing your health wounding, like all of that stuff. We have, if you go to my Instagram account, I am Sara Longoria. We give away tons of different little free things all the time for people to just kind of get started with understanding how what we do work. We do live events that we love to do where, people come and we show them how to do all the stuff. And then if they want to join our programs and all of that stuff afterwards, they are welcome to. And so we have all sorts of stuff and goodness people can join. We have practitioners that they can do one-on-one calls with
Wow.
within our community. We have an app where everything is like our own little network where everything is housed, all our stuff. So
What's one of the biggest things that you see with people that are coming in right now? Like, what's one of the top, like, struggles that you maybe hear on repeater?
I think the number one thing we're seeing right now, especially with women, is that there's so much going on in the world right now that is just devastating people and is just making our hearts bleed, that people are having a really hard time going to their next level or feeling like
Mhm.
it's okay for them to be comfortable and happy and have money.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing a lot of that of like, and I've seen a lot of women in business whose businesses are just like, woo, like kind of like the money is just not flowing like it once was because all this guilt, all this icky programming is coming up around like, it's not okay for me to be okay when all these other people aren't okay.
You're touching on something that I think is probably huge for me too, because I see roughly, 20, 25 clients a week. 25 hours of people talking to me about their woes and their problems and their struggles. And I'm thinking maybe it's affecting me in some way where it's like, oh, if everybody's hurting, I can't be thriving, right? Like maybe
Yes.
there is some of that programming going on too.
Oh, I think it's really been programmed into us as women for a long, long time that like we can't thrive unless everybody before us is
Right.
okay thriving. Like, right? Like it is like just banged into us that it's like first we must make sure every human we encounter, know about, have seen or heard about is good. And
Yeah.
then I will focus on myself, which may have been okay when it was like you, me, and like 5 other women in our tribe.
Yeah. Right.
No, but it's like now we literally see the whole world. Is it like
Yeah.
I just pick up your phone and you almost can't not know what's going on because I'm definitely a person that tries to live in my bubble as much as I can. And not that
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on, but it's like you can't engage unless you can really do something about it, is what I have learned, you
You
know?
careful in what you consume for sure. I've been talking a lot about the idea of creators and consumers. And if you're spending too much
Yes.
time as a consumer, you're not going to create
No,
because
you won't be able to.
is a drain. It really is. It's designed that way. You have to step into your creator. I don't care if it's watercoloring on a Sunday morning while having your cup of coffee. Like, you
Yeah, like you
gotta step
have.
into that creator role.
Yeah. And I think like for someone like you that's always hearing all of this stuff, it's like the realization that you are better for them. You are better for humanity when you are at your best self. And I had to go through that. When I first started my company, we grew really fast, really quickly. Like in 2 years, we were a multi-million dollar business, tons and tons of clients all over the world. And I really went through that moment of like, is this okay? Am I allowed for it to be this good? Because it was good. I mean, it wasn't even hard to run the company. It was easy. And it was like this thing of like so many people are struggling and the world's so hard. Like, is it okay for it to be this good for me? And then I
Mm.
went through 2 years where I like blew it up practically. Like,
Yeah.
it was like, I just sabotaged the crap out of my life, my business, my money, all of it. And then in that moment, it was like the realization of like, oh my God, I am like no help to anybody now. Like,
Right.
I can't give away the money I was giving. I can't help the people I was helping. My
Mm.
family is a mess, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm a mess. Like, and so I was like, this isn't good. Like, I don't need to stand here and commiserate with the struggling people.
Right.
I'm
Right.
here to help them come up.
Yep. Yep. I love that. I love that realization.
Yes, and so that was a very clear and, it wasn't my funnest time in life, but it was a necessary time in life because
Was it
it
always
was an
that first time where you realize is if I'm not putting on mine first, I'm not helping anyone.
yes, if I am not doing what I need to do for me first and being in my best self, then I don't wanna say worthless to humanity because, like, we're never worthless, but you know what I'm saying. I'm, like, basically, like, I can't do what I was doing. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I do. I am somebody that needs to have access to a lot of money. I do need to be surrounded by beautiful things. I do need to, like, have it easy for me because otherwise I'm a wonky mess and I can help nobody.
Well, and I like to think there's a world where everybody can find their perfect blend and we can all be in synergy.
Yeah,
I like to think that there is a hypothetical utopia that
I
could
think
exist.
there are.
We just aren't functioning. I think the scripts that are running right now are definitely not conducive to that. And I'll share
Mhm.
like a little kind of a quirky thing. But one of the geek out things I've been doing lately is investigating Tartarian buildings or old world structures, right?
Yeah,
These are really gorgeous, incredible, amazing architecturally beautiful buildings that exist.
yeah.
And when I look at these buildings, I've actually been traveling to different cities and seeking them out. And when I look at these buildings, I'm like, those buildings were created at a time where people were in their creator. They were
Yes,
absolutely in a very,
yes.
like, there was some sort of synergy happening where there was a just elevated overall state of humanity. And I know it's kind of a weird theory,
No,
but I,
it's actually if you go back far enough in history, before you really see kind of the dismantling of the woman, truly, and really making it so that it became man here and woman here. When you go back far enough, and a lot of this is hard to even find because it's been erased, it's
yep.
been, ruined. We were actually doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Like the early civilizations, like were doing pretty good. Like they were growing. There was a lot of equality. There was a lot of, and like, was there slavery and stuff like that? Yeah. But here's the thing. Slavery happened when you like did something terrible in the
Right.
community. You
Right.
became a slave. And guess what? As a slave, you could actually work yourself back up to get
Right.
out of slavery. It was like when you go back, and I'm talking like, we're going like 10, 15,000 years ago, where it's like it was a different world. And it's kind of like what you're saying. There was a different vibration, there was a different frequency
Yep.
at
Yep.
that point on earth
Yep.
that I think has kind of been buried at this
Mhm.
point, and a
Mhm.
new frequency is here that's just not working for us, or it's working for a very few, but it's not working for most of us.
And I love what you said too about the word slavery because we can enslave ourselves. And I think if you look at the linguistic, like, etymology of the term, you realize it did not have the meaning then that it has now. And so it's changed.
It
Yeah.
has, and that's, like, really interesting as it's really kind of like when people decided it was time to control other people, like, really control them and really control resources,
Yeah.
was when it's like you kind of started to see this drastic shift occur, and
Mhm.
now we just live in this, like, frequency of, like, lack and not enoughness and never
Yes.
good enough,
Yes.
and
All the primal wounds. There's scripts that are running on repeater. I know.
it's like
But we're gonna change this. We're gonna slowly start to move the needle.
we are going to do it. And I think, a lot of like the work you do and the work I do is doing exactly that. Like, that's my vision. Like, if I can teach people to make more money so that their life is better, but at the same time, I'm also changing their frequency within,
Yeah.
that's how you change the world.
I
And
love
that's
that.
what we don't understand. We keep trying to change the world through like policies and procedures and like new ways to create energy. And it's like, do you guys understand that as long as we're in this frequency, everything we create in this frequency will have the same thing. You can go create electric cars. Guess what? We're finding out they're worse for the earth than the gas cars.
Right.
You know, it's like, as long as we're in this frequency, everything created in this frequency is going to be that. So it's like you know it, like some of us have just started to pop out of that frequency. We're like,
Yeah.
I'm not playing in there anymore. And so then you start to see those of us who are in creator mode, we're creating different things. We're
Mhm.
creating things that are no longer in that frequency, and people can feel it. You know, I know that's one of the reasons why I've been successful. You've probably been successful. You know, people like Abel have been successful because they're creating in a different frequency.
Love that. Love that so
People are like, it's like a remembrance. Our bodies are like, I remember this.
I say that all the time. It's a remembrance. Yes, it was
Like, I
buried
remember.
under the other stuff, but it's coming.
Yes, like, I remember that there was a time when things felt better and were easier, and now it's the process, which is what we take people through. I say it's like taking off all the sweaters that, like,
Yes.
that aren't yours, and it's not always the funnest process. There's tears,
Oh,
there's emotions, there's unraveling, but
yeah.
when you do it with others and you know you're gonna come out on the other side, like, it is what it is, guys, you know? Like, it gets to be fun. We get to have fun while we do this too.
And you're talking about redefining wealth in a way that incorporates your alignment, right? Your self-purpose,
Correct.
your frequency.
Correct.
So that's really the difference. There's a lot of and I don't want to throw any large major names under the bus, but there's a lot of those guys out there that are preaching how to generate wealth without this component of the coding
Correct.
to live in alignment with your true self. And I think that's the difference in what you're doing. And it's amazing work. It's amazing.
And to do it in a way, like, I'm a big proponent of, you can create wealth without exploiting other people and exploiting the earth. Like, there is a way to do this. Like, there is a way for you to do it within alignment. There is a way for you to make all the money your heart desires, all of it, but to do it in a way that actually benefits humanity.
Yeah. I love it. I
You
love it
know?
so. Sarah, where do you direct people if they're listening to this podcast or like, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to vibe up? Like, where do you send them first? What's the first place?
Tell them to go, if they're on Instagram, go to I am Sara Longoria, no H, and Sara. And we have lots of stuff on there. My Facebook page has lots of stuff. You can go to Hey You Human, like HEYU with a U, human.com. That's our website. It has all of our stuff on there as well, but it's definitely more catered, I think, towards like our corporate and our school clients.
It's a website. And I love that like a percentage of how many people you've reduced their stress and anxiety. I'm like, yes, please.
Yes, you can see that it works. You can see that it works. So you can go on there. You can check us out. There's a whole page with results on there with tons of testimonials from the people that
Yeah.
we have worked with. And then, like I said, if you want to get a little taste of what we do, our free rapid relief technique is on there. So you can get that. You can try that out. And then on our Instagram, we give away free stuff all the time on the money stuff and different things to help you start on your wealth creation journey.
I love it. And, listeners, we always include all the links in the show notes. So definitely check those out. Make sure you're subscribing to the Sky Talk podcast because we are elevating this show. Buckle up, Buttercup. It is about to get real. Thank you so
Love
much,
it.
Sarah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Before we get into today's podcast and our amazing guest, I just want to tell you, you're not broken. You're just wired for survival in a world that doesn't always feel safe. Maybe you keep people at a distance because deep down you don't feel very lovable, or maybe you overachieve because a part of you believes you're not enough. But that's not weakness. It's your brain doing its best to protect an old wound. But here's the thing. What protected you then might be sabotaging you now. If you're tired of the same arguments, same spirals, or feeling unseen in your relationships, take the 7 Primal Wounds quiz at 7primalwounds.com to find out what your wound is and stop the same crappy patterns, chaos, and relationship conflict today. The views expressed in this podcast aren't necessarily those of the Sky Talk Doc. They're here to challenge your thinking and inspire growth. Until next time, blue skies and tailwinds.